I think this program being a model really gives an easy out for governments to say, hey, Evanston did it. We're going to do it. We've done reparations. And it doesn't even touch the surface. What we passed last Monday was Restorative Housing Reparations Initiative. So that was the first part of hopefully larger reparations efforts. You could access $25,000 essentially grant. So that money would go either for a new home purchase, an existing mortgage to pay towards the balance, or for a contractor to essentially do some home renovations to your existing home. While it was, a fair and good housing plan or housing program, I don't think it really was that different from housing plans you see kind of initiatives you see all over the U.S. The only difference was we were ideally allocating this money only for African American residents based on redlining and discrimination. I just counter that is not reparations. When we've looked at reparations historically, a lot of people think about, Holocaust survivors as well as Japanese Americans in internment camps. While there were other, kind of programs and social supports offered, reparations for those groups always included a cash payment. If housing was going to be something that we offered kind of as a supplement along with a cash payment, I would have liked us to have gone to the banks and seen what they can contribute, because obviously the banks have been huge in housing discrimination. There's a lot of caveats, right? There's a lot of different disclaimers that are on it. If it's true reparations, it should go to you based on the criteria of you've encountered harm, and so you are being paid for that harm. It shouldn't be if you want to live here, if you want to buy a house, if you want to do these things. Are you saying that people shouldn't have a check because they can't manage their funds? Or are you saying people shouldn't have a check because a check isn't enough? Because those are two different things, and I would agree a check isn't enough, but a check is a start. Some people might want to put that money to the bank, but there's no reason if we give them cash in hand, they can't make that decision. Some of our seniors want to pay their property taxes that keep going up, year after year here. I spoke to people who wanted to make trust fund for their kids, which is a very valid thing to make. And quite frankly, it's not our choice. There's not a business as the government what people do with their money. I think about the stimulus that just came out. The government mailed people checks and they did not get involved into how people spent their money. And so again, under the kind of umbrella of reparations, it's a little more frustrating to me and quite frankly offensive, because the government has decided and is then telling people, African American people, what they can do with the funds. As a government, we haven't earned that trust, particularly when this first piece has fallen so flat for some people. Yet and still, as a government, and some of my peers, we've done so much celebration, right? So it feels so counter to the repair. And I can tell you within the community, a lot of Black people are really frustrated. They're really frustrated because they feel like this isn't a great program. And not only that, they're being told by their white counterparts, they're being told by the government, they're being told by the whole world that this is great and historic. And I don't think it is. I think this program being a model really gives an easy out for governments to say, hey, Evanston did it. We're going to do it. We've done reparations. And it doesn't even touch the surface. The media has already moved on, right? And so people are like, oh, this is historic, we're replicating it. People have already started calling, city council here to get invites of how do you do this? I think my peers already started kind of talking to other cities about it. And so it just kind of continues the harm and continues the narrative that Black folk don't really have an opinion, right? Their opinion isn't as valid. And that whatever people say and the institutions say is what we need to accept. And I say, hey, let's push harder. This is not good enough. Let's demand more. Right? Let's demand more from our government. Let's demand more for the harm. Let's demand, for me, it was very personal about my ancestors, right? I feel like I have to demand more for them. If I say $25,000 to a bank for all the harm of my people, that's just not good enough.